Aloha all. This is Samana with Unconventional Insights. It is my 22nd podcast, and this is on appreciation and gratitude, just in time for Thanksgiving week. The holidays are here. So today I'm taping this on Tuesday. It's the new moon in Sagittarius, and it's the sun and moon in Sagittarius for a little bit of those astrology fans out there. So what does that mean? The sign of Sagittarius. All of us have great friends and family members that are Sagittarius. My niece is a Sagittarius. Some of my favorite people on the planet are Sagittarians. And their energy, so Sag is a fire sign. And the nature of Sag is they're called the rescuers of the zodiac. So their compassion is vast and it's beautiful, and they're there to help protect those that are less fortunate. And we all have all 12 archetypes of astrology somewhere in our charts. And I'd say now is the time, with the sun and moon in Sag and the holidays, to give of ourselves to someone. If there's someone in need or a stranger or something, to do those kind acts. I would love this to be all year round, but now is a time where it usually really helps people step up a little bit. So if you know someone less fortunate or lonely or without food, or they just need companionship or just time to have a cup of coffee and just talk with them, like, you have no idea how powerful that is, that quality time, one of the love languages. So this time of year, as I've said before, just as a clue, I've gotten 5 new counseling clients in the last 10 days. And I always find that this tends to be a time where triggers happen and more challenges. It could be more loneliness or sadness or being separate from your loved ones, many things that cause heartache. And sometimes accepting these changes in life, or remembering the good old days and seeing how different it is now. This could be the best time. For me, it's the best time of my life. Although my daughter doesn't live at home, or my Hanai son, and I miss them, I have so many other things I'm grateful for. So that is the whole point of today's podcast, is to remind us what we do have, what we do value, not what we don't have, not what is past. Because living in the past or the future is a waste of time. It will just cause heartache and anxiety and depression, and we don't want that. We want presence, and we want to really get the most of our lives. So any of you that have counseled with me or been to my workshops, various things, my teachings for so many years, I say my favorite tool for an instant reboot of the brain that moves us from being in our mind, where the mind is in charge. I always show the mind is this little box, and it's limited, and it only knows what it's familiar with, and it doesn't like anything new. It will not go beyond that box. And to move from the box of our mind, its limitations, to our higher awareness, allowing our higher interconnected awareness to be the authority over our decision making, over our actions. And by evoking the experience of gratitude, this is the tool. This is the little, like, mini screwdriver of self-care tools that you keep in your glove compartment, that you keep in your purse. For you to think of 3 things you appreciate, or 3 things you're grateful for. And what happens is, why this is an instant reboot for the mind, is the nature of the mind is purely to dissect and separate. It has the sense of it's never good enough, it's never satisfied, there's always discontent, it's always looking to see what isn't working. It's the doom and gloom version of us. That's when you're feeling those things and thinking those thoughts, you are coming from your mind. Don't judge yourself. Just notice, I'm in my mind. You take your cleansing breath. Inhale, exhale, free the heart, open the breath. and come from your alpha state, from your witness state, your meditative state, the subtler mind of the awareness. But by instantly looking for three things you appreciate or you're grateful for, this forces you to lift up and increase your vibration to a subtler level, to be as if being seen from what they call a bird's eye view, or from above, how I get the full scope of the matter. I see everything from this higher perspective. So my past is I was an esthetician since I was 18 years old. So for many decades, that's what started me on the healing arts path. Is I started as an esthetician, and my self-teaching of Eastern medicine and acupuncture and psychology, and I continued with college and various things, and I wanted to be a psychologist, I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be all of these things, and I realized I'm doing all of that, and then the counseling and all of that started coming on me. But when I was in the day doing primarily esthetician, and I'd work with teenagers or adults that had acne, so this is for my estheticians out there listening, for years as an esthetician, when I established first that their diet was fairly healthy and their supplements and their exercise was down, then I had to assess it must be a mental or emotional stagnation or blocks that they had and reflected in the congestion of their skin or in the sallowness looking of their skin or the lack of vitality in their skin. So I would give them homework and I'd say, next week when I see you, that I want to hear three things you're grateful for. And as soon as they walked in, that was the first question I asked. I made certain I wrote that on their little file so that I remembered, because they watched me, especially the teenagers. They're always going to push that boundary. And initially, I would notice all of them would say they would have resistance to this, yet they'd play along with me a little bit out of curiosity. And they would say, I remember this one teenager one time, this young girl, she was like 16, and she said, okay, well, it's as if she didn't do the homework, but she said, okay, well, my dog, and okay, I got an A on my English paper, and I guess my best friend. And that was it. And I said, thank you. And then the next week she came in and I said, okay, give me three more. So each week for these acne clients, I would have them tell me three new things that they're appreciative or grateful for. And they would share it with me. And they would notice progressively each week it was easier to come up with things, and just having to share with someone that cared. This is a factor too. I cared about something different than the rest of society cares about, something that matters, that engages our heart. So they would find, as they shared with me, that not only did these appreciations bring its own energy, but it also brought a depth, and each one became greater. So they would say things in a more precise way. I'm grateful how fast my mind processes information. I'm grateful I'm such a good athlete. I'm grateful I have so many good friends. And guess what else started to progressively improve? Their skin. I believe the body doesn't lie. No matter what the mind does, the body will tell us what really the truth is. So our appearance and our health is a direct reflection of our thoughts and how our mind functions and how our emotions are. So, is there a sense of ease in our expressing what we're feeling in the moment? Or is there a doubt or a repression or a I don't know that happens? Like noticing that, because the mind needs to be used and harnessed and directed and guided to what we want to look at. So if I want to direct it in my body, if I want to direct it towards what am I feeling grateful for, it has to go to that higher awareness just to search for that. And it will instantly raise its vibration. They've done scientific studies, as I've said in my other podcasts, where they actually measure the wavelength of the brain. And I love that because they would find, and I may have said this in other ones because I love this particular study, where they found people that meditate. Well, first let's go to this one. So people in nature, when they're outside in nature, they'd measure their wavelengths of their brain, and it was this beautiful sphere like a circle. Then they measured people's brain while they were out in a city with noise and cement and cars and pollution and chaos. And the brain would be in the shape of an hourglass, like the centers would be cut out. And then they measured the brain wavelengths of people meditating, regardless if it was in nature or in the city. And just being in that alpha state, it had a holistic sphere to it. It was whole. So, in that state of gratitude, it will create that sphere, that wholeness of our brain. So, if you are alone and you don't have anyone to share this with, your daily 10-minute journaling practice that I highly recommend for everybody to get into a good rabbit's habit to do, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Or write down for 10 minutes everything you appreciate, everything in that moment you could appreciate, and see what comes out, and just see that. Or if you have the courage to say to the people who you're feeling this gratitude for, then that gives you a new experience and a new muscle, which is the communicating and expressing our heart, and it expands and opens our hearts. Remember, this is another thing I repetitively say, remember the heart processes information faster than the mind. It has more neurons than the brain. So open your heart with gratitude. I have a strict daily practice of self-care rituals that lasts on some days about 3 hours, and I get up earlier if I have a full day of clients and workshops and work, so I make certain I just sleep less because I cannot start my day. I am not proud of who I am without first caring for myself to be as full as I can be for others. So, my meditation teacher, George, taught me this so many years ago, and I love him for this. But I do about 3+ hours of self-care rituals, and if I ever wake up and I notice, I'm a little crabby, or maybe I'm thinking negative, or I'm all the damn dogs, or something like feels like it's stressful or angry or sad, and like I just woke up like that. So who knows, was it from a dream, or who can figure that out? But what I know to do, instead of why am I upset, is I know how to reboot, and I'll instantly either look outside my window, because I have beautiful trees and green out there, and I always have my window cracked, even if it's 20 degrees out, because I love hearing my wind chimes when the wind is going just ever so slightly, and hearing the birds. So I'll either look outside or I go outside and I'll sit on my swing. And I begin out loud saying everything I appreciate or I'm grateful for. And I'll say my dogs, my house, my family, my friends, my clients, my students. Every time I have a workshop or a counseling session with someone and I see the moment their mind has that little tweak and I see that their brains are challenged and their belief system changes in that moment right in front of my eyes, I can tell you that is why I was born, to experience that, to facilitate that for someone else, because how I love is to bring insight and awareness to someone. I want to help people get out of their little limited separating mind, and I want to help them with daily self-care tools that they will find this connectedness and this sense of awareness and support from their community, from the planet, from their pets, from whatever, that there's this sense of ease with them all the time, expanding their awareness. The entire view of their world is changed once the belief system is changed, once the mind is shifted to the awareness. My teacher, George Kinder, would always say, the inside world reflects the outside world. I am blessed. I am about to go home to Maui to do a week Vipassana silent retreat in January with my friend David, and I am so excited. It's been 5 years since I've sat with my family, my Sangha, my community, and to sit in silence like 10 hours a day where there's no talking or looking at each other or anything, yet we're sitting there and we're suffering and we're going through our things, and then we have these moments of peace and heaven, and I always say it's sitting with God, and I'm just so blessed to be able to do that again. And everything I've learned from sitting still enough to see the pain unwind, to understand the sequence of events, to understand and see the teachings and the lessons, because I love that reflection. I love that time. So, back to our gratitude and appreciation. By saying out loud and hearing myself say everything I appreciate in my world, it dissolves any stress or negative thinking or feelings of self-doubt. Another tool I use is I have mala beads, which is a Buddhist thing. It's an Eastern thing. It's also Hindu. In my car, I have it wrapped around my stick shift. And every time I'm on my way to the gym every morning, I hold the little beads. So it's similar to a rosary. If I was also raised Roman Catholic, so I understand rosaries. Or in some, like in Turkey and Greece, they have what they call worry beads, which it's all the same. It's a series of beads. With mala beads, it's 108 beads. There's a reason for it. And I don't really know that about the rosary, how many beads are on that. But anyways, so I have my mala beads in there, and the point of the mala beads is that you hold with your hand each bead, and you go through it quickly, and you say a mantra. It could be something like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, or it could be, there's so many mantras that I know. But that is a series of syllables and phrases that are based on specific words. These are Sanskrit words that are spiritually empowered, and they raise your vibration through speaking them. You could even mumble them. You could even do it silently. But the word themselves empower and raise your vibrations, as well as repetitively saying the same phrase over and over while touching the bead. The touching the bead as you keep moving bead to bead to bead through the 108 beads. And you're saying the phrase, it gives you 2 sensory points of touch and sound and focus for the mind, so that the mind doesn't spin off into its dark places and then cause suffering. It's the same principle of worry beads and rosaries. It's to focus your mind with the sensation of your hands, and that helps. I mean, when I was little, I used to do this movement where I would take my index finger and I would just like do this circle around my thumb. When I was very small, every time I was stressed or unhappy or sad or scared, I always did that. So I don't know if I remembered a past life where I was doing mala beads or rosaries or who knows what it was. But it's the same movement. If I put a mala or rosary in my hand, it's the same movement you do to move to the progressive beads. Anyways, that is a tool. That's something you may want to get. They sell those little bracelets, so they're not 108, but you could have those little bracelets, and they either have like amethyst or they have rose quartz or some beautiful thing, a beautiful stone, and then the stone have different energies to them also. But just using that to focus your mind when you start to spin and go into a dark place. So our tools are of no value unless we open the tool chest up and pick up the tool that is necessary for what is happening. So, the same concept of raising our vibration and awareness and speaking higher intentional words are to replace the mind and the thoughts of complaint and discontent and squawking, as I call it. So using the mala beads, I'll also do one bead at a time. And this is an exercise that just came to me about a year ago, and I use this. So if I really want to be in my body and in a feeling state, then I will do my mala. So I'm holding each bead, and I'll say a word, like I'll say gratitude. And I take 1 second and I scan my body to feel, as I say the word gratitude, what that feels like in my body. And then I'll say the word appreciation, and I feel that energy. And then I say the word love and joy and inspiration. And with each one, I pause for a moment to see what does it feel like and what is the direction of the energy. Is it expanding? Is it radiating? Is it rising up? Is it rising down? Is it what does it do? And I would say inspiration, generosity, compassion, clarity, truth, connection, alignment, and so on. Just keep coming up with high words as you do each bead and track it in your body. So here's this aspirational feeling, including a body scan, so it has a sense-based experience. And what it's doing is it's actually anchoring each feeling in your body, so you memorize it. So you know when I am feeling joy, what joy feels like. And you start to feel the subtle differences between each quality and how it's rooted, how it expresses itself in a sensory feeling in the body. This is important to do. This is a type of meditation. This is a way of harnessing the mind in a controlled way that is building us and strengthening our spirit, our mind for positive thoughts, and to understand, what am I feeling? What is authentic in this moment? When I work with clients and they are in a point of crisis, what I do is I specifically ask certain questions, and what that does is it causes them to focus their mind to answer me, and then I help them to track the sensations in their body, to get out of their spinning, crucifying mind that's just filled with fear and discontent. So I instantly ask specific questions, and then I say, where do you feel that? Tell me where you feel it. And usually it's numb. Usually they start out because they're in crisis, because they're spinning this tape in their head. They're all one just big head. And we want to get them out of that so that we can feel in our body. So when we are in this place of distress, or just crying endlessly, or so upset, notice, how does it feel in the body? When you're angry, how do you know you're angry? How does that feel in the body? And if you can just gently guide where you redirect the mind to see, oh, anger, I feel the tightness in my jaw, I feel the heat rising up my spine, then you're going to shift the crisis state, and it's no longer reactive. So another personal thing I want to share, since I share all of my personal revelations, is I began a personal relationship a while ago, and from the start I would feel these little bursts of appreciation for him after we'd spend some time together, and each time we began learning more about each other and how we communicate, how we were different and similar, how we process, how we support each other, various things, how we play, how we dance, how we laugh. And I began feeling more and more of these spontaneous bursts of appreciation. And I'd text him little insights, or just thinking about you, or something from the night before, little emojis that I was sharing when it was inspirational. Not as a hook about, hey, what about me? Are you thinking about me? Because I never even care if I text anyone, my kids or my students or friends, I don't care if they ever respond back to me, unless it's a specific question like, I'm at the grocery store and what do you want for dinner? That I want a response for. But if I'm just sharing one of my bursts of inspiration because I think of one of you out there that have crossed my paths and opened my heart, then I just do that because I want you to know I'm thinking about you and sending that. Anyway, so one day I was doing my little mala thing with my aspirations and visualization and all the high qualities, and I'm going from gratitude and appreciation and love. And then I had this like lightning bolt revelation that I realized in that moment, wait a minute, appreciation and love feel very similar in the body. I mean, they were almost the same energy. They radiate from the heart, but love radiated beyond the heart. So in that moment, I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm feeling appreciation, am I feeling love? Are they one and the same? And that may sound strange to you, but for me, that was my scientific experiment. That was my experience. It was real in my body, and I saw the association of appreciation and love are the same. So therefore, I love my friend. Appreciation is loving someone. So I am an intense, deeply introspective being, and using that daily tool to visualize while feeling in my body how each quality is similar yet expresses itself intensely different. I find that it is expanding beyond the body, and it helps to anchor me and it's a fuller feeling instead of saying I love you. I've had an issue with those words I love you, because I don't know how you are out there, but I've heard I love you so many times that were just like it was a tape, and I didn't feel anything from it. So I don't rarely say I love you. For my daughter and my family, I say I love you, but like for other people, I want more than that. It's always like I want to get more than that. And so I'm finding that these other words that have not been manipulated or used in the wrong ways, or something is said, one of these beautiful aspirational words are said, yet the energy behind it, you don't connect it with energy. I want to say what I am feeling in the moment. That is my goal. So I found when I say gratitude, when I'm doing my little exercise with the beads, that gratitude is very concentrated around the heart. So it doesn't radiate a lot, but it's very specific around the heart. And it's interesting because it always inspires this subtle bow forward, as if in this state of humility. And then I feel appreciation, and that radiates from all sides of my heart, and it kind of expands out. And then I feel love. I say love, and love goes even beyond my body. So it's beautiful. The feeling of the grandness of this vast universe and the interdimensional connectivity of all sentient beings. How could we ever feel alone when in truth we are connected regardless of race, gender, culture, region? I had a powerful meditation many years ago. I was in my 30s. I was outside on my deck. I lived in Kula, Hawaii. I was at 4,000 feet elevation. I had this beautiful deck. I was in this very deep, peaceful meditation session, and it was night. My body felt very weighted, while the fragility and ease of my breath were in such contrast as it just rise and fall. It was the perfect meditative session. And I was just so settled, as if there's nothing I ever have to move or do. I am at such peace. And I opened my eyes and I looked up and I saw billions and billions of bright stars in a moonless night. It was so beautiful that it brought me to tears. And the insight I got in that moment were these stars were mirroring the hearts of all the beings on the planet. So it's the reflection. It's as if there's a mirror up there, and all of those stars were reflecting the brilliant lights of our hearts, of all the beings down here. And it was so beautiful. And here were these multiple lights in the skies, the heavens, and it showed me that we're also connected, interconnected. in this planet, all of us on this planet. It's only when we come from the limited view of the mind, its only job is to focus on one specific point at a time. Its nature is to dissect and separate and to learn one thing at a time. How do we piece things together? That is the mind's nature. We need the mind to do our checkbooks, to do steps to something, to learn something new. Yet to come from the mind, from all decision making, it's also where selfing comes in. It believes it's a survival. I don't have enough. They'll never love me enough. This isn't good enough. And the mind only knows what it's known and what it's familiar with, what it's proven. It doesn't believe in anything that is said to it because it hasn't experienced it. It's not been known before. So it doesn't see connections of everyone around. It doesn't feel love or peace. Only our awareness is interconnected. Its source is our hearts, and it utilizes the multitude of neurons and bonds with all open hearts. So for this holiday, if you're spending it alone, or with one person, or your cat, or with friends or family, or with a whole community, as you take a conscious cleansing breath, you're inhale and exhale. Ask what you're grateful for or what you appreciate. In my home, we always go around the table before we begin our Thanksgiving meal, and regardless if it's 2 of us or if it's 20 of us, each person goes around and opens their heart by sharing their gratitude for this past year, what they appreciate. And there's no better prayer or blessing of such food to help assimilate all of that, food that's been prepared with love, than to have these collective gratitudes and appreciations shared. We hold hands, we share, each person speaks, no matter how young or old, and it's such a beautiful thing. So I invite you all to try that this holiday. And if it's just yourself, say your appreciations out loud and really reboot your mind and stay in your heart and your highest, kindest self. So everyone out there, be kind, be compassionate, be grateful. I'm reminding you that I do offer insight counseling sessions. This is an important time of year, might help you get through some of this. I do it on FaceTime, Messenger, or Skype, or if you're in South Austin, you're welcome to come here. I have a beautiful office that we sit in, and I'm $100 an hour, or you could do 2 sessions for $150, which is only $75 each. You could separate those in 2 different sessions. Contact me if you're suffering. I offer a sliding scale and will not turn anyone away. So please, know that I am a resource. Know that I'm here on the planet to offer everything that I can to alleviate suffering and bring joy and peace and open hearts. So also, I ask all of my audience who's ever listening to please like my podcast, follow, subscribe, and share any of my podcasts that have inspired you with other people. I'm still learning my social media. I only have a limited scope right now, so I need help out there. I'm asking for any help out there. I so appreciate. And I have my December meetup. I have a Be a Relationship Architect meetup I do once a month. And we're kind of turning this is going to be on December 3rd from 7 to 9 in South Austin. And we're turning this more into like a support group where we're going to go around. I'm going to teach conscious communication tools where we hold the talking stick, and we're going to kind of share issues that we have in current relationship, things that we need insight for, or past things that maybe we're ready to let go of and heal, or self-care tools, or whatever's going on with us. And we're just going to share that, and you could ask for feedback from each other or myself. So that's available. So if you're interested, sign up through Meetup and RSVP, please, so I know how many people are coming. And you're welcome to contact me, Samana, SAMANA, at spaluna, SPALUNA.com. look at my spaluna.com website to see everything coming up in the near future, or you could text or call 808-283-7587. And I wish all of you a lovely week, a lovely holiday. I hope you make the most of it, and blessings to all of you.